Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. Today on the program, the government vows to bring justice to the killing of the Tanauan mayor.
Ako'y dapat isinalo ko na ang balang yung natumama sa kanya. Dapat napakaling bagay siya sa amin sa Tanauan.
The president will come face-to-face with Catholic Church leaders.
The end goal is for both institutions to work together to serve society in general.
Addressing threats of destabilization.
Our intelligence monitoring says na zero ang monitoring diyan. Zero ang information na as of this time wala tayong nakukuha.
Also, the fate of peace talks hangs in the balance.
Wala akong problema, so we continue with the war. And we have been there for 50 years. Ano ba naman ang dagdagan natin ng 30 years?
Presidential Spokesman Harry Roque joins us live. And later, a galactic treat. Take a look at an image of a newborn planet. That's for today's In Focus. Thank you for joining us. Sitting in for Pinky Webb, I'm Cherry Mercado. Malacanang condemns the killing of the Tanauan mayor known for Walk of Shame campaign in broad daylight. But President Rodrigo Duterte suspects that the mayor could have been involved in illegal drugs. Also, after his tirades against the church and remarks about God that drew the ire of the public and religious groups, Mr. Duterte is set to face the head of the Catholic Bishops' Conference of the Philippines in the coming days. What can we expect from this meeting? Let's go straight to the source of the story. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Good morning, sir. And
Good morning, Cherry. It's great to see you.
Thank you for joining us once again here at The Source.
Congratulations for being back in the news.
Thank you very much. So, sir, kagabi you were there with the president in Maasin Leyte when he reacted to the shooting of Mayor Halili. Ano po ba, alam mo, ang daming trabaho ng pulis ngayon, medyo maraming mga high-profile cases. So what have you talked about? Sabi niya, he could be involved in illegal drugs, no?
The president said that. That's the suspicion of the president. And of course, we're awaiting investigation on who really is behind this shooting, no? With Mayor Halili, you really get mixed messages because he had a walk of shame, which was the subject of consternation as far as human rights groups are concerned. But at the same time, he was in the narco list maintained by the government. No? So as far as the palace is concerned, we said that we cannot sanction these types of killing. This happened in broad daylight, obviously utilizing a very skilled sharpshooter. And it's always the obligation of the state, no, to take steps to investigate, punish, and the perpetrators because we need to instill fear anew in the hearts of the killers. No? So I think the position of the palace to investigate this can stand hand in hand with the suspicion of the president. No? But of course, as I said, even the DILG secretary has said that we will investigate it. No? It's just that at this point, everyone's pointing a finger all over the place. No? Some are saying perhaps government is behind it because it's in the narco list.
Yes.
But others are saying, well, perhaps it's also drug lords behind it because of the walk of shame. But let's find out what exactly happened. Let's give authorities the opportunity to investigate this inside out.
So when the president says this, no, these pronouncements, he bundled Mayor Halili with the other mayors who were supposed to be in the narco list. This is still based on the initial intelligence on the mayors who are supposed to be in the narco list, no?
That's based on the narco list, yes, I can confirm that. No? But we really don't know who's behind this killing as of yet. No?
Meron nga mga nagtatanong sa akin kahapon, Secretary Roque, no, that your pronouncement was not in tune with the pronouncement of the president later on at night. Nung sinabi mo na he was an ally of the government in the war against drugs, and then here comes the president saying he's part of the narco list mayors.
You know, he's just very controversial. If you look at Twitter, if you look at all the message groups I have, it's really split right in the middle. No? Of course, I've had dialogues with Batangas local leaders, including Batangas Provincial Governor Dodo Mandanas. No? And he says that, well, he really had that walk of shame and he was condemned for it, but at the same time, he's in the drug list. So you can never know. No? And as I said, the debate is ongoing on whether or not he was involved, but nonetheless, you know, the proper investigation should be conducted independent of whatever he was involved in. Because if it was involved in drugs, then we will find out no, if this had any relations to his killing.
Kapag ganitong may mga nasa narco list na neutralize halimbawa, does the palace see this as part of the success of the war against drugs?
I don't think so, no, because right now we don't really know why he was killed, and that's why you can't make any conclusions.
May
as
iba
of
pang
now.
mga motive. There's
Yes,
political
we
rivalry.
don't know, no, kasi he could have been killed for any other reason, no? But what we're appealing for right now is for a bit of patience. Let authorities do their job. We will uncover the truth behind this crime because that is the state obligation.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to ask you about the Malacanang reaction to the reactions of some of the senators on the killing of Mayor Halili. There were some statements, no, from some senators. Of course, we expect them from opposition senators. Senator Kiko Pangilinan, for example. We'd like to show you his reaction. Sabi niya maliwanag na ito ay isa pang kaso ng EJK o patayan na bunga ng tinatawag na drug war na inilunsad ng gobyerno.
Premature. We don't know what is the reason behind the killing. He's speculating as well. So his speculation is as good as anybody's speculation.
Okay. Any other? Because we have other reactions from other senators here, but also there are some camps who are bringing up the statement of the president regarding vice mayors. To neutralize their mayors, no? Nagkaroon siya ng ganitong statement. Ang sabi niya, let's play the SOT, no? Let's play the soundbite so that we can go back to that. Kasi binabalikan ito ngayon na sinasabi yung mga vice mayor, kung gusto nyo kayo maging mayor, you neutralize your mayor para kayo na this is the fastest way for you to become mayors. Let's look at that soundbite of the president.
The earlier you do away with your mayor, the earlier you become the mayor also. Hindi, pag pakidnap mo lang. Tapos para walang leak, ikaw na mismo. So, mayor, patayin kita. Walang nagbayad sa akin. Pero ang sabi ni Duterte, kung gusto ko raw na mapaaga-aga, kasi pagkatapos mo, naghihintay mo yung asawa mo. Tapos, pagkatapos ng asawa mo, magsama ng ibang lalaki, yung anak mo naman ang patakbuhin mo. So, sabi mo, paano ako nito? Hanggang vice mayor lang ba ako nito?
So the crowd was laughing, no?
Joke.
But people are bringing this back now. Certain camps are doing it because a mayor is killed, related to one of the motives could be drug related, and people are bringing this back. Some camps are bringing it back. Yung mga pananalita daw na ganito ng Pangulo might be emboldening criminals.
That's really, I think, off tangent. No? It was clearly a joke that the vice mayors appreciated. The president, just like any communicator, addresses his specific crowd. He was addressing the vice mayors league, and he knew that they would be enthralled with something, with a joke of this nature.
Para
Simple
sa kanya joke. Of course, you've been with the president for quite some time now, and you were an outsider before.
Yes,
no?
yes.
So with the way he speaks, and this has been a constant question regarding the president, no? Yung pananalita niya. But then some people are saying, baka sa kanya joke, pero baka sa ibang tao, and the church also reacted to this, no? Nung sinasabing his tirades against the church might be emboldening other people to attack priests, for example.
In this highly polarized society, where you have a very small but very noisy opposition, they'll throw anything and everything at the president. But the reality is, the overwhelming majority who elected him know his personality. They know he is fond of these jokes. They know that he's fond of conduct which otherwise would be considered as negative conduct, but they still like him. No? So it's a matter for the opposition to accept the reality that they have a non-conventional president, because as of now, I think an overwhelming majority have accepted him for who he is.
But in terms of those statements possibly emboldening criminals, do you think there's a logic to that?
I
And
don't
is
think
there,
so.
may ano ba, may nagsasabi ba sa presidente, or do you think he's even open to just that? Because of course he's anti-criminality. Na baka may seeds na ano, no?
It could be,
napaplant.
but it's far-fetched, and I don't think it's the fault of the president anymore. If you can't distill a joke from a serious remark, that's not the problem of the president.
Okay, and speaking of that and the church and some priests, no, pag-usapan naman natin yung meeting mo with the papal nuncio. So you said this is going to be kept on private, but we're hoping we can get some details on that.
You can't.
So,
You can't. But I will announce that the meeting with the president of the CBCP will take place Monday next week in Malacanang. No? Originally, we thought it would be done in Davao because they're both from Davao, but because of scheduling requirements or restrictions, it will now be conducted in the afternoon of Monday next week.
Monday next week, July 9, is that,
Yes,
is that
yes.
correct? Okay, and we're not expecting this to be with animosity because the CBCP head is from Davao,
In fact,
and they've known each other.
Let me clarify that the meeting is not considered as one of a kind because they're always in contact, no? Believe it or not, no? Maybe because they're both from Davao.
So regularly they talk to each other.
Regularly, there's communication lines open between the president of the CBCP and the president. Sometimes it's the president who communicates. Sometimes it's special assistant to the president, Bongo. But they have had regular communication. So the fact that they're meeting is not something out of the ordinary. It's something that they do because they are close friends, no? And they realize that they both have respective duties to the faithful and to the country, no? So perhaps it's coming at a time when we are conducting a dialogue, and we welcome that, of course, but I can assure the public that it's nothing out of the ordinary. And I think that is a source of comfort for the faithful, that there is open and friendly relations between the head of the Catholic Church or the CBCP, head of the CBCP, and the President of the Republic.
So this is a regular communication between the CBCP head and the president, either through Secretary Bongo or directly to the
personally, no?
president. Would you know kung merong bang advice si CBCP president, or meron ba siyang konting, obviously he's one of the church leaders that the president respects, no?
Yes,
And he
yes.
doesn't have all of that for all of the Catholic Church leaders. He doesn't respect all Catholic leaders, right?
I think the good bishop has spoken. No? He has told people to remain in the faith. He's had nothing adversarial to say against the president, maybe because he knows the character of the president. And looking out as an outsider, because I don't really know what the kind of relationship that they have, I think the good bishop is just becoming a good leader of the church. No? He's there not only as a leader of the church, he's there also to provide pastoral care to one of his flock, who happens to be president of the Philippines. And I like that.
What can you say na isa siya sa mga kinukonsulta ng Pangulo when it comes to maybe political affairs or affairs that involve the church?
I don't think the president will ever consult a religious person on anything political in nature. I think the relationship is because of consciousness and realization that they're both serving the people. No? Having been elected as Davao mayor for 23 years and now as president, he knows that you have to live with the church in a predominantly Catholic country, although he has very firm convictions, no, which the people also have to respect. But I think the good relations is because it's a given that you can't live without each other.
So yung magiging meeting nila sa Monday, this is related to your meeting with the Papal Nuncio also.
Well,
Merong mga topics na magki-carry over dyan?
Well, I suppose it's part of the dialogue. It's coming at a time when he formed the committee to dialogue. In Maasin, I said, are we okay with the meeting with Bishop Valles? And he says, of course, anytime. So, and then the date was given to us, Monday next week. I'm still arranging for other dialogues between the President and the PCEC, for instance. No? But today, I will call ASEC Lisette Marquez to tell them that the President has also okayed a meeting with the Philippine Council for Evangelical Churches.
Okay, we'll continue this conversation regarding the president and his controversial relationship with the churches. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Still to come, what's the fate of the peace talks with the communists? Presidential spokesman Harry Roque will still be with us after the break. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines, and our guest today, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Sir, let's continue I'm supposed to be moving on to another topic, but I want to continue talking about the church. The PCEC has offered to wash the feet of the president, or, you know, I was unclear whether it's the other way around, whose feet is going to be washed, and has the president accepted this offer of the PCEC?
Number one, I'm surprised that you know about it because I have not revealed it to anyone. And I understand it was the PCEC itself that announced it. No? I think when you look at the Bibles, the washing of the feet is really the ultimate act of humility. Christ washed the feet of individuals. No? And in the church, it's considered as really still an act of humility. And they feel that the president has been harmed by the church because of the claim that he was in fact a victim of sexual abuse. And mind you, I've talked to many of his classmates in grade school, and apparently all of them became victims. All. Okay, I'll say it. I don't know if
in one class?
Yeah, in one class, they were all victimized by the same American Jesuit priest. And although it is not the PC itself that was responsible for this form of abuse, nonetheless, as Christians, they felt that perhaps if they do that, which is an act of humility, the president will understand that even if they're not the church that did him the harm, they're still the church that would want to acknowledge that the harm was done and that they seek, that they're being exercising the absolute in humility and doing that. No? And perhaps that would help in the healing process. No? But that's why I already said that the president has also approved the appointment with PCEC in the palace. No? So it's a matter of fixing the date and time.
And in that next appointment, dun po mangyayari yung washing
I do not know. I do not know. I'm really surprised that the PCEC revealed this because, when I talk to the church leaders, one thing in common that lawyers have with pastors and the priests are, it's the concept of confidential information. No? So I thought everything we discussed was confidential. I'm really surprised that they came up with it. But it's okay, it's up to them, no? It wasn't really my call to make it public, yeah.
Oo. Pero ano pong reaction ng Pangulo? Was he
doesn't
open
know
to
yet.
it?
He doesn't know yet because we had a very quick conversation in Maasin Leyte. No? It's only to confirm the appointment with Bishop Valles. No? But he doesn't know about what PCEC wants to do, but I'm sure he will appreciate it. No?
So to clarify, yung PCEC o yung kanilang branch of the church will be the one to wash the president's
Yes.
feet, to cleanse him of the past
as an
hurts.
act of humility. No? It's really PCEC as a church recognizing that harm was done, and for whatever it's worth, they're doing an act of humility towards the president.
Meron din kasi na interpretation posible dahil dun sa mga sinabi ng Pangulo na on the other hand, naging hurtful sa ibang church members or sa ibang Catholic or other Christian churches na God is stupid, no? Na parang dun naman, baka daw doon yung context ng paghugas ng feet, no? Pero apparently, it's from the hurt, from the abuse
Yes.
before.
Yes,
From the-
and again, I'd like to underscore that the context by which the president said God was stupid was not that he was per se stupid, but an interpretation of the concept of original sin was what he thought was stupid. No? And there's, of course, two schools of thought on that concept of original sin, but we don't really have to go to that.
Yes, correct. Oo. Pero dun sa agenda, no, na magiging meeting sa CBCP, pag-uusapan yan? Pag-uusapan ba yan?
I think it's going to be free-flowing discussion. Prior to yesterday, Mr. Boy Saicon was telling me that we had to write a letter to the SecGen formally of the CBCP, and I did tell Mr. Saicon, I don't think that's necessary because I know that he has a very good personal relationship with Bishop Valles, no? And so it actually happened, no? That without having to go through the paperwork of fixing the meeting itself, that the president just invited him, and good president of the CBCP accepted the invitation. No? So it will happen without a pre-agreed agenda, but a meeting between two old friends and two kababayans, no, in Malacanang, no, amidst the controversy generated perhaps by the statement of the
The
president.
killing of the priest, probably. Will it be
In fact,
brought up?
this committee to dialogue with the church was really prompted by that. It wasn't the remark about God, because the decision to dialogue was prompted really with the latest killing of Father Nilo. No? The statement came after, but it was a statement that I guess prompted the president to announce a composition of the committee. We're now a four-man committee, no, to include Cabinet Secretary Juni Basco.
Okay, doon naman tayo sa on another topic, no. You also, when you were interviewed by the media yesterday, meron ka ring nabanggit na posible na some members or those who are in the church who are opposed to the president and don't want him to see him finish his term might collude with the CPP-NPA.
Emphasis on some, and that the same some in the church supported someone else for president, and in fact, some of these leaders would not have wanted to see President Duterte in office at all, no? And I think no one can deny that. Come on, it's not a unified church, no? And I did say that given that the peace talks are temporarily on hold now, that the NPA, CPP will go back to its old ways. You know, the concept of National Democratic Front is really to work with various aspects of society, no? And that's why I said it is not impossible that some might end up, no, falling in the trap and working with the CPP-NPA to overthrow the government. Let's be very clear, the CPP-NPA is not, you know, just another Democratic Party. They still seek to overthrow this government. And, you know, having been an activist myself in the past, maybe there's impetus for you to want to overthrow what you think is a government without a democratic mandate. But this government was elected because of a convincing majority vote. Well, if not majority vote, plurality of votes. No? He had a lead of over 5 million. No? So that's a convincing mandate from the people. People should wait for the next elections if you want to replace him. Meanwhile, he could be the worst president as far as their personal opinions are concerned, but they have to wait until 2022 because that's the essence of what's provided in the Constitution. That's the social contract between government and the people. Respect the social contract.
But when you say that some members, you said emphasis on some, but some members might collude, the members of the church might collude with some members of the Communist Party to overthrow this government or for destabilization. Do you have any basis for these pronouncements, or was it based on your past experience,
Well,
past knowledge,
it's
or
based on how
intelligence?
the CPP-NPA operates. They will work with a broad spectrum of society. That's the concept of a National Democratic Front. They want, you know, to work with church, they want to work with trade unions, they want to work with teachers, they want to work with everyone, no?
So you think
to make
they
it
might
appear
tap-
that it was a broad coalition, no? And historically, it has happened in the past, no? We have had priests actually fighting side by side with the NPA. We've had religious leaders providing legal front for the communists. It's how the CPP-NDF works. Come on, they've been around for 60 years. We know how they operate. Let's not, you know, mince words here. That is how they operate. You know, for people like me, what I can't understand is why they have to continue with the armed struggle, precisely because they have developed ways of working without resort to armed struggle. That's why we're objecting still to the existence of the armed conflict. No? They can do it through other means, including their form of forming coalitions with various sectors of society. No?
But any intelligence now that they're actually tapping into these sentiments of some of the church leaders against President Duterte, that the CPP are already tapping into that to get them into their cause?
Well, if I were to confirm, I'd end up in jail. But I think, you know, they've been around 60 years. Come on, this is nothing new.
Okay,
It's
on
an
that note, we'll
established
pause for a
tactic.
short break. Secretary Roque, this is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. Our guest today, Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. So, sir, we only have 4 minutes left.
How time flies.
I know. So, first of all, meeting between Joma Sison and the President, final na ba na walang magiging meeting, at least for the next couple of months or years?
The president has not revoked his offer. Come home, let's talk peace. I guarantee your personal security. I will provide for the daily needs of the entire CPP NPA, provided you stop collecting revolutionary taxes. If nothing happens with the peace talks, I will personally bring you to the airport so that you can leave the Philippines. But if nothing happens with the talks, do not come back to the Philippines. It's an offer that he has not revoked. It is Joma Sison who has turned his back on the peace talks.
Okay. For the next ombudsman and the next chief justice, malapit nang mag-retire, no, si ombudsman. So, sino ang mga front runners? Sino ang
Well, I've mentioned it already, but I don't want to repeat it again because I've mentioned them already, no? But the last time I mentioned that there were 3 frontrunners, one of them is now the subject of intense media scrutiny, no? So she must be hating me, no? Because now I don't think she has she has as much chance of being appointed as before I speculated, no? Because I did say I haven't talked to the president about it. But I've mentioned it. I think it was here also where I mentioned the 3 possible.
So ngayon wala pa rin yung shortlist?
Wala pang shortlist kasi sinasubmit ang JBC and the president has to choose only from the shortlist, no? But I'm looking at the list now. I didn't realize that Edilberto Sandoval is also an applicant. I see Associate Justice Samuel Martires. There's also a Justice Efren de la Cruz. I mentioned that Edna Herrera Batacan is there and she was personal counsel of the president.
Anong sinasabi ng Pangulo na gusto niya for the ombudsman? Ano yung mga qualifications?
Well, okay. Number one, he himself said it, ayaw niya ng politiko. So that's why I'm now reading the names of the career jurists, no? And I would say that the career jurist would have an upper hand. No? Let's not call it now frontrunners, but an upper hand because he wants someone detached from politics because it is a very sensitive position. No? I would say that Attorney Batacan is still there, but of course, maybe not thanks to me. She's now the subject of intense media scrutiny. And let's face it, I don't think she had as much chance now that the media has really gone through her records. No? So I would say the frontrunners would be those from the judiciary, those who've had judicial experience.
Okay, for now we'll leave it at that. But a lot of people, have also want to ask your reaction and the palace's reaction on the Gilas game last night.
Oh my gosh!
Which ended up in a brawl.
My only regret was I was on the plane and did not see it live, but I saw it. I saw the replay, and I'm really torn. This is not a spokesperson speaking. I'm
Okay.
torn. It was wrong. It was so wrong, I mean, that's why we have sports.
Which one was wrong?
The brawl was wrong. We should never have gotten into the brawl, okay? I'm very clear. But at the same time, I feel also for them, no, na kawawa naman, no, talaga naman nakita natin na hindi tayo nagsimula. But it's still wrong. Dapat yon nung siniko, nung kicker, yung ating kababayan, pinatanggal na lang natin yung kicker. That should have been the sportsman thing to do, no? Pero syempre hindi nangyari yun. But I also feel for them, so I can't really say na if I were in their position, I wouldn't do the same. But it's sad, and it shouldn't have happened. I'm sure people regret it. I'm speaking like a Filipino and as a fan of the sport. We haven't seen this in a very long time.
Oh, and the game being stopped.
I'm 51, turning 52. I think this is the worst that we saw on televised TV. And of course, it's sad because we were the host, no. And but
It had to
I
happen
can't
on our
really,
turf, no?
I can't really condemn them completely kasi. Siyempre, magkakasama, isang team, ano naman ang gagawin mo, no? Pero dapat ang ginawa doon siguro talaga, itinigil ang laro, and we insisted na matanggal yung kicker
We
na
should
yun
have
from the
taken
court.
the higher ground, but of
Yes,
course you're recognizing mahirap talaga ang higher
Mahirap
ground.
talaga, lalo na
kapag
kasama
heightened
mo
ang
no? O kita mo yan, dapat ito
emotions,
na
diba?
pinag-usapan natin.
Sumsimula
Kalahating
pa
oras
kanina,
tayo
diba?
nagsalita.
Secretary Harry Roque, thank you very much. It's
Thank
always a
you.
pleasure to
Thank
have
you.
you here.
Thank you, Chair.
And you're still watching CNN Philippines, sitting in for Pinky Web for The Source. This is Cherry Mercado. Thank you for joining us.